The wind was strong on the edge of the human base. Dust flew in the air as the giant metal gates slowly opened. Soldiers stood in position with guns ready. They were not expecting visitors. They were not expecting her. She walked slowly, her legs shaking, her clothes torn, her skin a strange silver color, her eyes full of pain. She was holding something in her arms, a small body wrapped in cloth, still silent. The soldiers shouted at her to stop. She did not stop. She kept walking, step by step, one hand in the air, one hand holding the child. She spoke in a soft voice. It was not perfect English, but they understood. Please, she said. Please help my son. I will do anything. The soldiers looked at each other. This was not normal. Aliens did not come here. And they never asked for help. They fought, they lied, they attacked. But this one, she was different. The base commander arrived. His name was Captain Rains. He was a strict man. He believed in orders, he believed in safety, and he did not trust aliens. Do you want? He asked. The alien mother looked up, her eyes wet, her voice shaking. Save him, she said. He is dying. He needs help. Human help. Rains raised his hand. A soldier moved forward. He scanned the child. No signs of life at first, then a weak pulse. Strange DNA, something not seen before. Bring the Dr. Rains, said. Dr. Mara came running. She was young, smart, kind. She took one look at the child and gasped. He is not fully alien, she said. There is human DNA in him. The room went quiet. Rains stared at the alien woman. Is this true? He asked. Is the father human? The woman nodded. Tears on her cheeks. He died long ago, she said, but the child is real. He is part of your kind and mind. Mara took the child to the lab. She worked fast, her hands moving like lightning. Machines beeped. Scans appeared. The child was very sick, his organs failing, but there was a chance, a small chance. The alien mother waited outside. She sat on the floor, her head low, her hands shaking. A soldier gave her water. She thanked him. She looked so tired, so broken, so desperate. Why come to us? Rains asked her. Why trust humans? You are our enemy. She looked up at him. Because I have no one else, she said. Because he is all I have. Because you have the cure, your science, your heart. Did not reply. He turned and looked at the boy through the glass, so small, so still. What if this is a trick? What if this is a trick? What if this is a trap? But something in her voice, something in her eyes. It felt real. The boy moved a little. Just a small twitch. His fingers curled. Dr. Mara smiled. She had hope now, but she needed time and special medicine. Medicine only humans had. We need clearance. Rain said. We need to ask command. The alien mother stood up. No time. She said, if you wait, he will die. I will give you anything. Secrets, maps, codes, my life. Just save him. Her voice echoed in the hallway. The soldiers stood still. No one moved. No one spoke. Mara walked out of the lab. She looked at Rains. We can save him, she said, but I need full access, and I need it now. Closed his eyes. This was dangerous. This was not in the rules, but he opened the door and nodded. Do it, he said. The alien mother fell to her knees. She held Rains's hand. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you. Face was quiet. That night, the stars above, shining cold light inside the lab. The machines worked. The doctor worked. The boy breathed slow, weak but alivened. The alien mother watched. Her face pressed against the glass, hope in her eyes, fear in her heart, and a promise, a silent promise that she would repay this kindness no matter the cost, because she was a mother and this was her son, and she would do anything at all. Asterisk. The sun rose over the desert hills, painting the sky in orange and red, while inside the human base silence filled the air except for the soft hum of machines and the slow beeping of the monitor beside the boy's bed. His breathing was still shallow, but steady. Mara stood by the window, her eyes tired, her hands resting on the table behind her. She had worked all night, running tests, using every tool the lab had. She looked at the data again and again and still could not believe it. The child was not just alien and not just human. He was something new, something impossible. Captain Rains entered the room, his boots loud on the steel floor. He looked at the boy, then at the doctor, then at the alien mother sitting on the chair in the corner, her head down, her hands together, her eyes closed but not sleeping. Tell me the truth, he said, loud enough to make her open her eyes. Who is this boy really? Why does he have human DNA? Mother stood slowly, her movements careful, as if her bones hurt, her voice soft but clear. His father was a human, she said. He saved me many years ago when my ship crashed. On a cold world far from here, I was alone, I was injured. He found me, he helped me, and I did not know kindness before that day. The room was quiet again. Only the beeping continued in the background. We did not mean to fall in love, she said. We were two lost souls in a broken place. We stayed hidden for a long time. We lived in peace, but then a war began. My people came and he stayed behind to protect me. He never returned. Rains crossed his arms, his face cold. You expect me to believe this? He asked. You expect me to risk the safety of this base for a story? It is not just a story, she said, walking closer to the glass, her hand resting on the window. He is proof he exists and he is dying, and your people have what he needs. I came because I had no choice. I came because I knew he has a chance. Here, Mara interrupted quietly. Captain, she said, pointing at the screen, the child's cells are unstable, but there is something else, something incredible. They are adapting, changing, healing, but very slowly. With help he could recover, but without it he will not last 2 more days. Rains looked at the screen, then at the child, then at the mother. What do you offer? He asked slowly. What do you give us in return for this help? Anything, she replied, her voice shaking. I will give you secrets. I will give you technology you have never seen. I will show you maps of worlds no human has walked. I will give you everything I know, but please save him first. No, Rains said. We need the information. First, we cannot take this risk unless you prove you are not lying. She looked at him with wide eyes, then lowered her head again. I understand, she said quietly. Then she reached into a pouch on her side and pulled out a small silver cube glowing faintly. She handed it to the Commander. Rains took the cube carefully, his eyes scanning it, unsure of what it was. Dr. Mera stepped forward and touched the side of it, and instantly a light shot from it into the air, showing a floating map of a star system. Unknown to human charts, the display moved, showing planets, moons, and strange signals around them. This data is real, Dr. Mera said, shocked. This alone is worth more than anything we have in our deep space archives. Rains stared at the cube, then back at the alien. You will stay here, he said. You will be watched, and you will answer all our questions, but for now your son will receive treatment. She nodded, her face filled with relief. Thank you, she said. I will not forget this. Dr. Mera returned to the lab, her team already preparing the next phase of treatment. They had a plan now, a way to stabilize the child, but it would take time and everything had to go perfectly. One mistake and he would not survive outside the lab. The base was waking up soldiers, moving ships, humming scanners online, but inside the command room, Rain sat alone, holding the silver cube, watching the strange lights dancing in the air. Part of him still suspicious, part of him curious, but deep inside a small voice asked, what if she was telling the truth? What if this boy was not just a child, but something more? In the hallway, the alien mother stood looking through the glass again, watching her son breathing slowly, the machines around him blinking quietly. She placed her hand on the glass, whispering something in her own language, a soft melody full of love and fear and hope. Behind her, a soldier stood guard, but even he lowered his weapon slightly as he watched her standing there like a statue, a mother fighting the universe for her child, and above them all the stars kept shining, cold and distant, watching silently as something new began to awaken in the heart of humanity and in the heart of a mother who had already lost too much and was ready to give everything she had left. Dark clouds gathered above the mountain as the human team prepared their ship engines. Rumbling lights, blinking soldiers moving with purpose, technicians checking wires and systems, while inside the main hall, Captain Rain stood with the alien mother, her eyes focused on the screen in front of them. The mineral is called arcanite, she said, pointing to a glowing spot on the map. It grows only on a dead moon far from this system, a place lost and forgotten by most. Even my people fear it. Old machines sleep, their ancient walls breathe dust and silence, but deep in the stone arcanite lives, and only that can save him now. Dr. Mera listened carefully, her hands resting on the table, her mind full of questions. No human has stepped there before, she said slowly. We have no records of this moon, no information, no data. It could be dangerous, it could be deadly. The alien mother turned to her, voice steady, her eyes calm. If we do nothing, he dies, she said. The boy is part of both our worlds, maybe the only one. We must try or we lose everything. Rains nodded and gave the order. The mission was approved. A small team would travel to the dead moon, collect the arcanite, and return before time ran out. They had 48 hours, no more. The ship, named HFY, launched before dawn, flying into the pale sky like a silver arrow. Inside were 5 members, including Dr. Mera, 2 armed guards, 1 pilot, and the alien mother herself, quiet in the back, her hands resting on a small photo of her son, taken by one of the doctors while he slept, surrounded by machines and soft light. The journey was cold and quiet. Stars drifted past the windows like silent watchers. The team spoke little, each one lost in thought, some afraid, some curious. The alien mother said nothing, her face like stone, but her fingers never left the photo, not even once. They reached the dead moon after 14 hours, the surface dark and cracked, no life, no sound, only dust and shadows. Their ship landed near a deep canyon, where the scanners showed a large deposit of arcanite, but the entrance was narrow and hidden like the mouth of a forgotten beast. Inside, the cave walls pulsed with faint light. Old machines lined the corridors, covered in vines and rust, some broken, some sleeping. The team moved carefully, weapons ready, voices low. They followed the signal deeper and deeper until they reached a chamber glowing blue with the light of the mineral there. It is, Dr. Mera said, her eyes wide with wonder. The arc was growing from the stone like frozen fire, beautiful and strange. They began to collect it using special tools, storing it in secure cases, but something was wrong. The walls began to hum, the floor trembled, machines in the walls woke up with red eyes blinking and ancient limbs moving. This is a trap, one of the guards shouted, raising his weapon. The alien mother stepped forward, her voice firm. No, she said, this place is protected, not against us but against thieves. We must show peace, not violence. Machines moved closer, scanning them slowly, their lights changing from red to yellow to green, and then they stopped as if satisfied and returned to their sleep. The team breathed again and continued their work faster now, the mineral almost full, the cases almost sealed. But as they turned to leave, a sound echoed through the tunnel, not metal, not machine, but something else, a voice low and broken. They followed it without speaking, drawn by curiosity and fear into a side chamber where they Found a body covered in dust and time, a human suit cracked and empty, a small device beside it blinking with a weak signal. Mara picked it up and played the message. The voice was old, tired, broken, but still clear. I stayed behind to protect her. I hope they find peace one day. If anyone hears this, take this message to Earth. Her name is Kale, her heart is Truther. Alien mother froze, her knees shaking, her hands covering her mouth. It was him, the father of her child, his final words still alive. In this cold, dead place she fell to her knees, tears falling without sound, while the others stood silent, giving her that moment of truth, that moment of pain. They left the chamber with the cases full. The message saved the ship, ready for return. The alien mother holding the device close like a treasure lost and found again. They lifted off the moon. The dust below swirled in the engine's wake. The old machines watched them leave without anger, without fear, and the sky opened once more to the stars. Back on the ship, Dr. Mara checked the Arcanite stable, secure enough to start the healing as soon as they landed. The guards spoke quietly now, their eyes different. They had seen something rare, something powerful. The alien mother sat near the window watching the stars, holding her son's photo in one hand and the voice of his father in the other, and for the first time in many years she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, hope was real. The stars outside were quiet as echo. One moved through the black sky, silent, like a ghost ship returning from a forgotten world. Inside the cabin, the lights were low and the voices even lower, everyone tired. Everyone thinking of the boy waiting back at the human base, his life hanging in the balance, his future resting in the glowing case of Arcanite, now locked safely in the cargo room. Mara sat near the medical console, her eyes scanning the boy's last reports again and again, her fingers trembling from exhaustion, her thoughts drifting to the strange beauty of the dead moon, the machines, the message. The pain in the alien mother's eyes when she heard the final words of the one she lost. The alien mother was seated alone in the rear compartment, her face calmed, her hands folded over the small voice recorder, still playing her mate's words in a soft loop, a private memory, a piece of love still alive among the stars. Her body did not move, but her heart raced faster than any storm. The pilot was focused on the route, his hands firm on the controls, his voice steady over the comms, checking speed, distance, pressure levels every few minutes. One of the guards would walk the hallway, watching the doors, checking the locks, keeping order, but under the silence, a dark feeling grew like a shadow under the floor. Sergeant Dell, the older of the two guards, stood near the storage bay, watching the case of Arcanite behind the security shield, his face hard, his jaw tight, his eyes filled with doubt. He turned to Private Lennon, whispered to soft for others to hear, "This is wrong." He said, "We cannot trust her. She is not one of us." Private Len shook his head. "Not now, not this close," he said. "We did the job. We get home. The kid gets saved and command will deal with the rest." But Dell's voice did not stop, not in his head, not in his chest. He remembered the wars, the attacks, the bodies of soldiers burned by alien fire. He remembered the lies, the broken promises, and the flags lowered to half sky back home. He walked to the rear room where the alien mother rested, her eyes half closed, her hand still holding the recorder. He stood over her like a storm about to break and spoke in a low voice. "Your kind killed my brother on Vega 9. She opened her eyes slowly, her voice soft. "I did not know your brother. I was not there. It does not matter," Dell said, stepping forward. "You are all the same. You lie. You pretend. You beg for help, then stab us when we sleep." She stood slowly, her face not angry, not scared, just sad. "I came in peace. I gave everything I had, and still you hate me. Why? Because I have seen what your people do." Dell answered, his hands shaking, his eyes burning. "And I will not let you bring that danger back to Earth, not through your son, not through your lies." At that moment he reached for his sidearm, his fingers curling round the weapon, but before he could pull it out, a voice behind him shouted, "Drop it." Now it was Dr. Mara, her face pale, her hands up, her voice stronger than ever. "Put it down, Dell. We are not murderers. You do not understand," he shouted, turning toward her. "She is using us. She is lying to save a weapon, not a child." "That is a child," Mara replied, her voice like a blade, "and I will not let you kill hope because of fear." Dell stepped back, unsure for the first time in years, his world shaken by her words, by the calm in the alien mother's eyes, by the silence that followed, his breath heavy, his hand trembling, his thoughts crashing like waves. Private Len arrived seconds later, weapon drawn, eyes wide, confusion and disbelief across his face. He moved between them and said, "What is going on? What are you doing?" Dell looked at him, then at the alien, then at the floor. "I thought I was protecting us," he said quietly. "I thought I was doing the right thing. Sometimes the right thing is not the easy thing," Len said, lowering his weapon and walking toward the storage bay, checking the Arcanite, still safe, still glowing, still ready to heal them. Alien mother sat down again, her body weak, her voice calm. "I forgive you," she said, "not because you deserve it, but because hate cannot live in the same heart as love." Dr. Mara looked at her with new respect, new understanding, new wonder, and she knew then that this woman was not a threat, not a monster, but something else, something rare and strong and deeply human in a way few could understand. The rest of the trip was silent, the stars still watching, the ship still flying, and the people inside changed in small ways, quiet ways, the kind only the soul can measure. As the base came into view and the lights of home grew closer, each one of them felt something they did not expect, not pride, not fear, but something like peace. Something like healing, something like the start of something better. The sky above the human base was dark, with clouds rolling like waves across a silent sea, while deep inside the medical wing soft lights glowed around the boy machines, humming gently as life slowly returned to his small, fragile body. The arc had worked faster than expected, its energy moving through his veins like a river of light, touching every broken cell, every damaged organ, every lost connection, with a strange, quiet power that no one fully understood. Mera stood beside the boy, her eyes wide, her breath held as the monitor beeped faster, stronger, more steady than ever before. Her hands moved quickly, checking his vitals, checking the numbers, checking the impossible truth that was unfolding right before her eyes. He is stabilizing, she whispered to the nurse, her voice full of wonder, full of disbelief. The cells are not just healing, they are changing, adapting, learning faster than anything I've ever seen outside the glass. The alien mother watched every movement, her hands pressed against the window, her heart pounding like thunder in her chest. Her eyes locked on her son, who had been still for too long, who had almost slipped away more than once, and now here he was, his fingers twitching, his chest rising steady and slow like the first breath of dawn. Captain Rains entered the room, his face still cold, but his eyes focused on the boy. "Tell me," he said, "is this real? Is it permanent? Is he safety?" Amara looked at him, then back at the boy. "I do not know," she said. "I don't know. He is waking up, and something inside him is awake to something beyond our science, something we have never seen before." The lights above flickered for a second, just a blink, just a pause, and then returned to normal, but it was enough to make them all look up, confused, unsure, and then it happened again and again. The lights blinked. The machines beeped faster, the walls hummed like a deep song rising from inside the earth. The boy opened his eyes. They were not like human eyes, and not like alien eyes. They were something new, something glowing with soft blue light, like the sky after a storm, like stars seen through tears. His gaze was calm and deep, as if he had seen too much and remembered everything. Mera leaned close, her voice gentle. "Can you hear me? Can you understand me?" The boy nodded once, slow and steady, then sat up without help, without fear, without a single sound. Alarms began to sound across the wing, doors opening and closing without command, screens flashing strange symbols, machines acting like they were alive, following his movements like flowers follow the sun. He reached out his hand, and the monitor beside him changed its numbers, rearranged its display, as if answering his thoughts, without wires, without code, just Wilder's presence. Captain Rains stepped back, his hand moving toward his cum, his voice tight. "Is this safe? Is he controlling our systems?" Mera raised her hand, stopping him. "No," she said. "He is not attacking. He is communicating with them. They are listening, not fighting, not resisting, like they know him, like they trust him." The alien mother entered the room for the first time since the treatment began, her steps slow, her face full of fear and hope, together, her voice soft as a breath. "My son," she said, "you are awake." The boy turned to her and smiled, not just with his lips but with his whole face, his whole being, and the lights around them pulsed with that smile, soft and warm, like the rhythm of love made real. He spoke one word, her name, in her own language, and she ran to him, holding him close, holding him tight, her arms shaking, her tears falling like rain in a place that had forgotten the sky. Technicians arrived, soldiers arrived, scientists arrived, all watching, all silent, as the boy stood from the bed and walked to the center of the room, every screen around him lighting up, every device reacting like they were part of him, like he was not a child but a signal, not a patient but a message. Mera turned to Rains, her voice low. "This is not normal, this is not human and not alien, this is something else, something new." Rains nodded, his eyes never leaving the boy. "I believe you," he said, "but what does it mean?" "It means," Dr. Mera said, "that he is not just recovering, he is evolving." The base, the wind picked up, clouds breaking as the first light of morning touched the ground, and inside that light, inside that moment, stood a boy, not quite one thing, not quite another, but something in between, something born of war and love, of science and heart, of sacrifice and hope. He walked to the window and looked up at the sky, his hand touching the glass, the systems around him calming, the light steady, the machines silent. And then he closed his eyes, and for a moment everything stopped. Everything paused, as if the world itself was holding its breath, and when he opened them again, the light in his eyes was stronger, the room warmer, the silence deeper, and every person in that room knew, without words, that something important had changed. Something beyond their rules, beyond their knowledge, beyond their fears, something new had awakened. The message came at sunrise, traveling through static and dust across satellites and old networks, reaching the base with a sharp tone that echoed through every hallway in every room. High priority, level 1, direct from Earth Command. No delay, no debate, no refusal. The voice on the screen was clear, cold, and full of weight. The boy must be transferred immediately. Full custody to Central Authority. No questions allowed, no mercy given. Captain Rains stood in the command center, his hands behind his back, his eyes locked on the message, his jaw tight, his mind spinning. The officers around him watched in silence, unsure whether to cheer or panic or pray. This was bigger than any of them, bigger than the war, bigger than the mission, bigger than the rules they had followed for years without doubt, without thought. Mera read the order twice, her hands cold, her breath stuck in her throat. She looked through the glass wall into the medical wing where the boy stood near the window, quiet and still, watching birds fly across the morning sky. His mother beside him, her hand resting gently on his shoulder, her face peaceful, her heart full of new fear. "They are taking him," she said softly, her voice not asking, just knowing, her fingers tightening slightly the way only a mother's hand can tighten when she feels her child slipping away. "Even if no one is touching him yet, we do not have a choice, Rains," said his voice low but firm. "We have to follow orders. This is not our decision anymore, but it is." Dr. Mera replied, her voice louder than before, her eyes burning with something new, something fierce. "We are the ones who saw him wake up. We are the ones who saw the machines respond to him. We are the ones who saw his mother cry and his body heal and his eyes glow with something not from this world. We know what he is and what he is not, and he is not a threat. He is a child, a miracle, a chance for something better." Rains turned away, his fists clenched, his heart torn. He had worn the uniform for 30 years. He had followed commands across galaxies, through fire and dust, through peace and war, but something about this felt wrong. Something about this felt heavy, like chains, like betrayal, not of duty but of truth. The ship from Earth was already on its way, black and fast and full of soldiers with no faces and no names, trained to take, not ask, not wait, not care. It would land in 6 hours, no more, no less, and when it did, the boy would be gone and his mother would be left behind, or worse, silenced like a shadow, erased like a file. Mera walked into the room where the boy sat. He turned to her and smiled, that soft, silent smile that seemed to fill the air with light and calm and memory. He reached for her hand and held it gently, as if he already knew, as if he already felt the storm moving toward him. "Do you want to go?" she asked him quietly, her voice shaking but steady enough, her fingers wrapping around his small hand like a promise. He looked up at her, his eyes glowing just a little, then shook his head once, slow and certain, not in fear, not in hate. "Just know." His mother stepped forward, her voice full of sadness and strength. "If they take him, they will not let him live. They will not let him be. They will tear him apart and study every piece and call it science and call it safety, but it will still be death." Rains stood outside the room, watching, listening, remembering the last war, the last promise, the last time he saw a boy shot for having the wrong blood, the wrong skin, the wrong parents, and he knew then that this was not about duty, not really. This was about fear, dressed as protocol, about power, dressed as safety, and he could not be part of it, not again. He walked into the room and spoke clearly to both of them. "I will not hand him over," he said simply. "I will not be that man." Mera looked at him with wide eyes, hope and shock mixing like fire and water, and the mother closed her eyes for a moment, then nodded once, her body relaxing like a bridge no longer burning. "But they will come," Rain said. "They will not stop. They will call me a traitor and you enemies, and they will come with weapons, not questions. Then we run," Dr. Mera said. "Then we fight, then we hide, then we do whatever we must, because this boy is worth it." Outside, the sky darkened as the Earth ship approached, its engines loud, its shadow long and sharp like a knife, ready to cut, ready to claim, ready to erase. Inside the base, the humans moved quickly, quietly, loyalties tested, decisions made behind locked doors and dim lights. The boy watched it all, his glowing eyes calm, not scared, just ready, like he already knew, like he had seen this before in some dream, in some other life. And as the alarm began to sound and the countdown began to tick and the soldiers began to land, something inside the boy stood, something deep and wide, like a river under stone, like fire under ice. And for a moment, every screen in the base blinked, every machine paused, every weapon jammed, every voice stopped. He looked at his mother, then at Dr. Mera, then at Rains, and he whispered one word, not in English, not in any language they knew, but somehow they all understood together: asterisk. The sky cracked open as the Earth ship descended, roaring like thunder, splitting clouds with its weight, casting a long shadow over the human base, while alarms screamed and red lights flashed across every wall. The soldiers below moved fast, weapons ready, boots striking metal like drums of war, their faces hidden behind dark masks, their mission clear and final: take the boy, secure the asset, eliminate all threats inside the base. The walls shook as the engines roared outside. Dr. Mera held the boy close, her arms wrapped around his small frame, her heart pounding louder than the sirens, her mind racing with questions and fears, but her voice stayed calm, her hand stayed steady. The boy looked up at her, his glowing eyes full of strange light and deep peace. Not fear, not panic, just something older than both. Captain Rains stood at the control station, barking commands, locking down hallways, sealing doors, rerouting power. His team followed his voice, confused but loyal, not asking why, just obeying, fast and sharp. He had made his choice, not with pride, not with anger, but with something he had not felt in years, something like honor, something like truth. Their alien mother stood near the window, watching the ship land, watching the soldiers exit like shadows born from smoke. She closed her eyes and breathed once, deep and full, her hand resting on the glass, her fingers tracing the shape of her son's reflection. She had known this would come. She had seen this future in dreams and warnings and long nights filled with cold stars. "They will break the doors," Dr. Mera said, her voice tight, her eyes locked on the hallway. "Cameras, we cannot hold them for long." "Then we do not hold them," the alien mother replied. "We guide them where we want them to go." Her voice was soft but strong, like wind over stone. Rains turned from the console and looked at her. "You have an idea?" asked or a plan. I have a choice, she answered. I have a promise to keep. She walked to her son, knelt before him, touched his face, kissed his forehead, and whispered in her own tongue a lullaby from another world. He listened with stillness. His hands in hers, their eyes locked in a moment so full of love it made the air heavy with silence. Dharmera turned away, tears rising too fast, too fierce. She had seen many goodbyes, but none like this, none so full of life, even in the face of death. A alien mother stood again and looked at Rains, her voice quiet but clear. You will take him through the lower tunnels, past the engine core, past the water vaults to the hidden pad. There is an old ship there, one that still flies, just barely. It will be enough to escape if you move now. And you, he asked, knowing the answer already, feeling the weight of it. Will stay, she said. I will hold them here. I will give you time. I will give him a chance. Dharmera stepped forward. No, she said. We can find another. The way we can all go. We can fight together. If we all run, they will follow. She said they will chase and they will catch. And they will kill what they do not understand. But if they believe the boy is gone, if they believe he is lost, they will turn back. They will leave and he will live. And that is all that matters. Now the boy reached for her, his small hand grabbing hers. His voice shaking. No, he said. Not alone. Not again. She bent down again, kissed his hand, kissed his cheek and smiled. You are not alone, she said. Not ever. I will always be in you, in your blood, in your heart, in the light behind your eyes. Rains nodded once and gave the order. The tunnels were opened, the escape route cleared. The guard sent to delay the intruders just long enough, and then they ran through steel doors and winding paths and echoing halls. The boy between them, his face turned once back toward the fading sound of his mother's voice singing softly behind them. That Earth soldiers broke into the command center. Moments later, their weapons raised, their eyes scanning for movement, but found only her standing in the center, her arms open, her voice strong. You came too late, she said. He is gone. He is safe. They fired. The blast shook the walls. The lights burned bright, then died. The systems crashed. The screens shattered and everything went still far beneath the surface. The escape ship lifted off, engines whining, sparks flying into the dark. The boy sitting between Mera and Rains, his hands on the console, his eyes closed, the ship responding not to code, not to touch, but to him, to his thoughts, to his will. Sky opened above them and the stars returned cold and beautiful and endless. Mera looked at him, her voice soft. You feel her, don't you? He nodded, not with sorrow but with knowing. She is not gone. He said she is part of everything now, and somewhere across the stars, in a place no machine could find, a voice sang softly to a boy who carried her light and her love and the hope of something better. And this was the end of the war and the beginning of everything else.